All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Friday, June 6th, and your Texas Longhorns are national champions. This is your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns right here on All In Horns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. I'm Tanner Carlson. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm recording this live from Ruston, Louisiana, in an Airbnb. And so service may not be like perfect. Jake, your camera is a little blurry. I don't know if that's just on my end or if that's something you need to like refocus on maybe. So, but nonetheless, Keegan Cavan, Mia Scott, Reese Atwood, Katie Stewart, you name it, great game. Almost rule run Texas Tech in game 3 and got the job done on Friday night. National champions, first in program history. And Tegan Cavan is the first player in a Women's College World Series record to give up 0 earned runs in a little over 31 innings pitched. That has to be your MVP, and she was. But just what a performance! Mia Scott on a torn ACL, out there just balling. Got Patrick Mahomes tweeting about her, about Texas's third baseman. Her name's Mia Scott. Put some respect on that name, Patrick Mahomes.
Misogynist Patrick Mahomes.
Some might say, especially Texas Tech graduate misogynist Patrick Mahomes. But man, I'll tell you what a run! Because Jake, I think you and I might be the most surprised Texas Longhorn fans of them all. We were pretty pessimistic going into this thing.
Yeah, we got a lot of scrubbing to do on some old episodes. I got some bad clips out there that have aged poorly, and I'm happy for them to age poorly. But
maybe Mike White used those clips against us to motivate the team, and partially the reason why they won national championship could be because of us, Jake.
Yeah, and if Mike White wants to come on and trash talk us, I invite him, and I will listen to his accent, just call us all the awful names all night. Because I was very wrong with some of the things I said in the past. I did say if they get hot with the bats and they get hot at the right time, they have the talent to do it. I mean, I never eliminated it, but I kind of called it as I saw it at the time, just with how that the season was going down the stretch. And then even how they looked in the super regional one, almost eliminated by Clemson. But this team just found a way. And even tonight, kind of wanted the run roll, but had to make us sweat it out a couple more innings. Texas Tech also fought pretty hard, but Kennedy, I mean, I know softball is different, but still doing that many pitches finally caught up to her, and they just shelled her in that first inning. And if not for the inability to throw the softball to first base, this would have been put away in 5 innings. But Texas's bugaboo all postseason, if there was one, was the ability to get out at first base, because my goodness, they committed a lot of errors trying to just get a basic out at first base.
Yeah, but hey, that first inning was just, I don't think you could have scripted a better start to a elimination game 3, winner take all type situation of, just 5 runs early, and then you get Kennedy out. They take her out going into the second inning. Well, Jake, let me ask you this, just as hockey fans, anybody who is kind of aware of the Dallas Stars situation, was that a Pete DeBoer, Jake Ottinger moment in a game 5? No.
Okay. I mean, if you look at Mia Scott in that first inning, they pointed out in the broadcast, but she kind of turned, said to the dugout, it's flat. And she was talking about her pitch. It just didn't have the movement on it. She'd given up 5 runs. Her pitches, I mean, I'm sure the coach can tell, being at field level, her pitches weren't the same. If Texas players were immediately going, this is not the same Kennedy that we saw the last 2 nights, I think that was probably the best move to pull her. I think if he didn't pull her, the game probably ends earlier. It was the most runs she's given up in her career in an inning, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, I think she had lost the juice a little bit.
But you have to go with her. You can't not go with her.
Starter, and because Tech knew that to win this series, it was going to require them holding Texas to 4 runs or less, 4 at most. And after that first inning, I felt about as confident as you could after a first inning that the game was over. I just didn't see Tech scoring that many runs based off of how this series had gone. I would think if either team scored, and even though Tech put up some runs, granted mostly unearned, down the stretch, but all unearned. They still didn't get to that 5 mark, so the game was still put away then. But I mean, just an incredible postseason run by this Texas team. It wasn't always the prettiest, but the College World Series was. I mean, they only lost 1 game in that College World Series, and that was a game they also could have won if they just didn't give up unearned runs. The biggest enemy of Texas was themselves in this postseason. When they lost games, it was against Clemson. We talked about it. All the errors. It was beating themselves whenever they were losing in games.
Take out half of the errors that Texas softball inflicted on themselves in the infield throughout the entire postseason, Jake, we may have seen one of the most dominant runs to win a national championship. If you take half of the errors out and half of the unearned runs out of the equation for Texas fielding, we may have seen Texas go undefeated and not even really sniff any type of trouble throughout this postseason.
Because even in game 1 of this series that they won 2-1, they had 4 errors in that game, and it easily could have been 5 or 6. Sometimes the people who score, whether it's an error or not, are very generous.
Well, that too. And my thing is that just because it doesn't show up as an error doesn't mean it wasn't a bad play made by an outfielder or an infielder. Just because it wasn't an error doesn't mean that the play could have been prevented by better play, And so, but yeah, no, Jake, I'm completely with you, but I don't want us to focus in on the things Texas could have done better.
To me, it's just what they overcame. I love teams that have to battle adversity, and this softball team battled through adversity the entire season. They weren't playing their best. They had doubters. Maybe this All In Horns podcast were doubters at time. I don't know. You'd have to go back, watch our own old episodes, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and listen to some really dumb takes because this softball team proved us wrong. But I don't bring that up to be a negative. They're national champions. That's all that matters. I bring it up to just be like, they battled through all this and found a way to win. They were almost eliminated by Clemson. They found a way to win that series. They could have easily lost that first game and then lost that second game and not even won the national championship, but they always found a way.
First SEC national championship in softball in over a decade.
Yeah, Texas just loading the SEC on the backpack. Loading it up.
Back is starting to hurt a little bit, Jake.
Hopefully Chris Del Conte is sending Greg Sankey a chiropractor bill.
Yeah, because it feels that way, dude. It feels like Texas is carrying this conference right now. Now, not necessarily in baseball, unfortunately, but man, I'll tell you what, just an absolute, like you said, just a magical type run that seemed to have many moments of doubt that they had to overcome. And it's just it's a great testament to the will of these players to not give up. And then to go into the College World Series, only drop 1 game. That was in a national championship 3-game series. You had to get over Oklahoma. You still had to beat Oklahoma. So, for those who's like, well, Texas Tech eliminated Oklahoma. Well, Texas gave them one of those losses, by the way. So,
yeah, I mean, Texas sent them down to the other bracket.
It was completely fair, for Texas to have to beat Oklahoma, beat the team that beat Oklahoma.
I'm glad they had to play Oklahoma on the run, just so they left no doubts in this run. And you just think back to how that SEC tournament run ended. And granted, we both have said that in basketball, baseball, softball, the tournament doesn't mean much to us unless our team has to make a run. But when your spot's already pretty secured and you know where you're going to be, I just don't care about it. I mean, it's fun when you win it, but it's not make or break for me. But to get embarrassed by A&M the way they did was completely deflating to me as a fan of just like, there's no way this team can compete for a national title. And I believe I may have said that a couple times. And that's the great thing is the game is played on the field, the court, the ice, wherever it is. And the team can always prove idiots with microphones wrong. And that's what Texas softball did tonight, winning their first national championship and concluding what was just a historical moment for the athletic program, them getting their first one.
Well, and talk about a run for not only the athletic or the softball program. This is their 8th trip to the Women's College World Series in program history. This was the 8th trip for Mike White in his head coaching career to get to the Women's College World Series and to win it, to cap both of those off with a win. Just awesome. And Jake, we were talking about the softball program, and you mentioned the athletic program as a whole. How many of these coaches has Chris Del Conte brought in that hasn't won a national championship, but is just right there on the cusp of it? And he's just given them the resources to elevate them to winning a national championship. Mike White, Vic Schaefer, Steve Sarkisian, Sean Miller, name it. And these coaches are just so close to winning their first national championship. They come to Texas, and Chris Del Conte is giving them all the resources they need to make that happen. Mike White, first on the list to check that one off.
Yeah, and maybe it leads to some of those other coaches knocking those first off, because Mike White, to me, this just proves sometimes you have to be a little patient, and you got to take the lumps along the road. I know everyone wants instant gratification, but some Kirby Smart had to take his lumps at Georgia, and we're experiencing that with football. But the lumps are a lot better when you're losing in the semifinals or the College World Series or wherever it is, the Elite Eight, the Final Four, wherever it is, than making the Alamo Bowl every single year, or not making the Women's College World Series. And sometimes you just have to be all right with taking those lumps for a little while, and then it comes. You get the breaks, you get the bounces, that happened for Mike White in Texas on this run, despite the fact that you're not allowed to get an out because everything is obstruction. Had to bring that up.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, because how in the world are you even supposed to get an out nowadays? It wasn't called obstruction, but
no.
if
it was.
Well, okay, so it was originally called
had to
obstruction.
be challenged.
Yeah, it was challenged by the ump, but man, if Mia Scott, that's perfect positioning. How, if that's even called obstruction, how are you supposed to get an out?
The rule needs to be changed. We may have found
you technically have to obstruct at any given point to get the out in the first place.
We may have found the worst rule in all of sports. I thought maybe is roughing the passer in the NFL, targeting, goalie interference in the NHL is a big touchy one. Every foul in basketball is touchy to me because of how they call it now. The obstruction rule, the fact that was even called on the field, thank goodness there's challenges in all sports now.
Oh, and then the ump, he's out.
He was so disappointed, sad to call that.
I've never seen a more disappointed ump make a call that he was wrong on, that he thought he was right on. Yeah, he's out. And I was like, oh yeah, show your bias a little bit more, buddy. Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, well, I mean, the broadcast, it was the Kennedy broadcast, the whole series. You would have never known that Tegan Caven was doing what she was doing, who ended up setting a record. You would have never known, just because, and Kennedy was amazing. She deserved spotlight. But it was incredible. It was like when you're watching a Super Bowl, Mahomes is in it and someone else isn't, which Mahomes was not on the screen as much tonight. Would have loved to seen him sad in the press box. But
also, even if Patrick Mahomes isn't playing in a primetime game, they be sure to bring up Patrick Mahomes.
Anytime there's a good throw, that throw looked like Patrick Mahomes.
It just looked like a good throw. But no, it has to be compared to Patrick Mahomes at all time. And it's like Tegan Cavan, she looks just like Canada out there. No, she's actually outperforming Canada. Like, let's just call it for what it is, people. But I thought the broadcast was, I know they're trying to make it exciting, but I mean, Texas Tech scores 3 runs and they're like, oh, here comes Texas. I'm like, dude, it's a 7-run lead with 1 inning left. I'm pretty sure Texas has got this in hand.
Yeah, I was never too worried. I was just getting annoyed at the errors to not be able to just put the game away. But I mean, I like that broadcast crew too, but I just thought there was about 90% coverage towards Tech. And maybe it's because Tech hasn't been in it as much as Texas has been in it with this core. And so they've exhausted those storylines in previous years. But at the end of the day, all that matters is holding up that trophy. And that's what Texas was doing tonight.
An awesome moment with Mike White in the post game, and giving him the ice bath and whatnot. But man, he's such a great guy, Jake. His post game interview, this program is in such a great spot right now with all of its head coaches and with all of its players and staffs that they've hired on. I'm excited about literally just about every single athletic program in the Texas athletic department right now, and it's all credit to Chris Del Conte. He's done an excellent job, the best athletic director in the entire country, in my own personal opinion, and it's not all that close.
If only there was an award that gives the best athletic program that, the Director's Cup, which Texas is very likely going to win again this year. I think they had already pretty much clinched it. This should for sure secure that. But yeah, with, even though volleyball didn't have the national championship run this year, now softball wins it. Volleyball's won a couple national championships in the last 2 years. Now softball wins it. And I feel like we're just going to continue to see different programs win these national titles because of Chris Del Conte. Every hire he has made has worked out other than one, and that was a hire that he was forced to make in Rodney Terry. Every other hire he has made has worked out. We'll see about Sean Miller, but I feel pretty good about that hire. But Vic Schaefer, Steve Sarkis, every hire he's made since he's come in, not to mention just game day experiences and home field advantage in environments, increasing drastically under his tenure. It just feels like Texas is truly a marquee athletic program now, from top to bottom, and just from environment, from crowd noise, from drone shows to light shows to adding on to stadiums to building improvements.
The game day experience has never been better at the University of Texas, and it's showing in recruiting. And yes, NIL helps with that. I'm not going to hide the fact that Texas has a boatload of money and they're shoveling it out, and we're getting some really good players in because of it. But it's player retention that also is vital to these programs, and these players feeling comfortable. They're feeling at home. Their families are comfortable with their kids coming to Texas and staying at Texas. And you're not seeing as many transfer out. The only players you're seeing transfer out are not the star players. They're not the best on the team. They're the ones that are like, yeah, I've been here for 2 years. It's not happening. We got another player coming in that's probably going to be above me in the depth chart. I might as well try somewhere else. And that's perfectly. There's no ill will in that situation. I completely understand. It's just an overwhelming abundance of talent in every single sport, and so it's a really positive place to be. And Jake, I know you and I asked you maybe a month and a half ago. I said, Jake, compared to where these programs are right now, who do you trust more to win a national championship, the baseball team or the softball team? And it was a resounding baseball team answer for both of us. So for softball to turn it around, what was more impressive to you, Jake? Tegan Cavan's performance or Mia Scott's performance with a torn ACL and just like her doing what she did? I mean, hitting a grand slam. She went 2 of 4 today. Just what a performance that she put on in the Women's College World Series from third base. But also, it's hard to take away from Reese Atwood and Cavan, catcher-pitcher duo, probably the best in the country this year.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, to me, it's like a co-MVP situation, and I don't mean to bail out, but what Tegan Cavan did is amazing. What Mia Scott did, maybe the torn ACL puts her over the top, because that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, both of them just turned it. And the thing about Tegan Cavan, though, is she was struggling down the stretch of the season, and she was able to figure it out and put it all back together. Granted, still an All-American, but they talked about on the broadcast, she was struggling towards the end of the season and not giving her best stuff. And for her to figure it out and be the key part, one of the main key parts of this run to win the national championship. And I mean, every piece in the bottom of the lineup heated up. They were providing hits and base runners.
Henry was huge, getting on base and providing extra base running, and then the steals, and it's just absolutely huge moments in the game.
And I think Stewart with that catch for that first out in the 9th or 7th inning, I felt like that kind of calmed everything down a little bit. I felt like they were really kind of frustrated. They hadn't ended the game yet. When they were trying to end the game earlier, They were a little too amped up. You could tell they were a little nervous, a little too amped up, whatever it was. And then that incredible catch hitting the wall and full extension for that ball as well while hitting the wall. That's a Sports Center top 10 catch. And I felt like kind of calmed the nerves. Everyone like, okay, we can put this game away. I know they got another hit after, but still you felt like that one kind of just calmed the whole team down.
And here's my thing too. Like, and I know you're pushing for that one run and you're trying to end the game right then and there. And like you said, there's a lot of pressure on it. They were forcing the issue and they needed to let the game just come to them. Just make the plays that were there. And it was more so kind of just, let's get this game over with. No, just play the game. The game, it'll happen when it happens. And I'm okay with not getting a run rule. That doesn't bother.
I'll take the national championship.
I'll take the national championship. I'm not going to remember, Jake. I'm not going to remember whether this game ended in 7 innings or 6 innings. That would have not been a thing for me. It's just the overall story. The close calls against Clemson, the way they ended the season, coming in here and then beating Oklahoma, and winning that game against Florida in the first game, where you're like, if they don't come out with a win against this Florida team, they're going to be in big trouble.
I predicted them to go 0-2.
Yeah,
you predicted them to go 1-2.
Yeah, and they end up going, what was it, 4-1, 5-1,
5-1,
5-1. Wow, what a run!
And beating all, it's beating all the teams. I was like, well, they haven't shown they can beat these teams, and they truly did turn it to another level in that World Series.
But what we were saying, Jake, not to defend ourselves, because full accountability, we really were bad about predicting this team. But to our point, I don't think anybody would have disagreed with what we were saying about, look, they haven't proven that they can beat the Texas A&Ms. They haven't proven that they can beat the Oklahomas. They haven't proven that they can beat the Tennessees. They haven't proven it yet. And at that point in the season, when we were talking about that was our biggest concern, was about getting over that hump. And they proved it every step of the way. They proved themselves. They proved the haters wrong. They proved the doubters wrong. And that's all you can ask for. And it resulted in a national championship.
Yeah, they proved it. And no, even after the super regional, you couldn't feel confident. But they just kicked it into the gear that we saw at the start of the year. And we saw in the regional, to be fair, they completely obliterated that regional, which clearly, as we saw with Texas baseball, is not the easiest thing to do always. But, and Texas A&M in softball, it's not the easiest thing to do. They obliterated their regional, really skirted the line against Clemson, and then just kicked it into a different gear. In the College World Series, taking down Florida, taking down Oklahoma, taking down Tennessee, doing the SEC gauntlet, and then getting to who's been the best player in college softball for arguably 2 years now, and running her off of the mound in that third game. Granted, she had thrown a billion pitches, but still taking advantage of that. And as soon as she relented on the mound and didn't have her best stuff necessarily, Texas completely took advantage and essentially put the game away in inning 1 of a game 3 in a national championship.
Well, Jake, our sports season is officially over. Where do we go from here?
I'm going to Minnesota. Oh, sorry. Edmonton just scored with 17 seconds to tie it
in the game,
in the Stanley Cup final. Wow. Sorry, that I have it on my other screen, and
back to back, game 1, game 2, overtime games.
Still 18. Hey, there's still 17.8 seconds left. But this series is incredible. If you're not a hockey fan, just still watch it. You will like it. It's fun.
And but no more college sports for Jake and I, or no more Texas sports until football season gets going. Once we start getting late August, we're going to be getting into a lot of football. But this summer, we're not going anywhere. We're still coming out with daily episodes. They may be 10 minutes long. They might be 15
We say that, then we'll have a football topic, and it'll go an hour.
It'll go an hour, yeah.
Now, this next week might be a little spotty. I'm out of state on vacation with the wife, but we'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out. But no, we after our first year, Jake, of doing this podcast, and we made it an entire sports calendar. What's an overall takeaway of yours, man?
What a fun year.
It
No
ended on a national championship, like that.
ending on a national championship. You had the Texas run to the SEC championship game, dominating Oklahoma, embarrassing Texas A&M, not allowing an offensive touchdown in that rivalry renewal. Making a run to the semifinal, the incredible Arizona State game. Basketball had its moments. We had Trey Johnson. Women's.
You also took down. You went 2-1 against A&M's best basketball program in school history.
Yeah, so basketball still had some fun moments, and women's basketball a great run. Volleyball still had a good season and a good run as well. Don't want to leave them out. And then baseball was still a very fun season that neither of us expected.
Regular season SEC champions, and Jake, we thought they were going to probably finish maybe around the 8-7 range.
6 to 8, 6 feeling optimistic.
Yep.
If you had told me they were going to go out in the regional at the start of the year, I wouldn't have been that shocked, just considering they were returning mostly the same team. And then softball making us look stupid and win a national championship. I can't wait to see what year 2 brings us, because year 1 was an absolute blast, which year 2 brings us Archmania. You better believe we're going to clickbait and cash in on that as long as we can.
Just expect during football season, nearly every thumbnail will be Arch Manning. I'm just letting y'all know right now. It's going to be a pretty.
We've learned a lot about how the algorithm works and the cliches work. I see why the ESPNs and some of the channels do what they do.
You want to know why? One of our most clicked on, most viewed videos in the last month it literally said college football clickbait was the title, and it had Arch Manning on it, and we got like 3,000 some odd views on it. So yeah, I mean it's pretty. I mean, you can be as straightforward as you want. In fact, I might just put Longhorn clickbait on all of them, or Longhorn football clickbait, and those words will get you at least 1,000 views easy. So, but no. With all that being said, though, what a great year! It's fun doing this with my best friend and just talking Texas football. Jake, you and I would have these conversations if we didn't have a podcast. Now we just have a camera and a microphone that we put in front of our faces and say the exact same thing you and I would be talking about on the phone, looking up the same stats I would be looking up regardless if I had a podcast. So I'm just, making the most of this opportunity and doing it with you, man, has been a blast. I'm looking forward to the summer off season, but I'm looking forward to season 2 even more.
Yeah, it's more fun than me going across my basement, like this and pacing, because I'm a phone. If I'm on the phone, I'm pacing. I can't sit. And even in my office at work, I hit the speakerphone button on the phone, and I pace my office while I talk to a client, unless I have to be on the computer and on a spreadsheet or whatever. And so, sitting here, getting to talk about it face to face, a little bit more fun. And hopefully we get some more in-person episodes, maybe some games we go to together next year. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun in store, and a lot of fun topics that we've been saving up, putting in our bag for this summer as well.
Yeah. And maybe we come up with a summer segment that we do, Longhorn related. We need to brainstorm some summer ideas. If anybody else has any segment ideas that you want to hear, that might be fun talking points throughout the dog days of summer where there's no sports on except for MLB baseball regular season, which everybody loves just to tune in on that. So leave it in the comment. Give us some suggestions. We'll listen to you. Give us some questions, and we'll do a live mailbag, a couple episodes or an episode a week of live mailbag questions. DM Jake, DM myself, or our X handles are there at the bottom of your screen. So let us know. Be involved in the show, and we'll get you involved in the show. Just a quick shout out. I've got some family matters going on here in Ruston, Louisiana, and big supporters of All In Horns. I've got uncles that come up to me, and they're K-State fans, and he's like, It's like, yeah, man, we listen more so in football, but yeah, we were listening to you guys, and he was asking me about K-State recruiting. I'm like, dude, I haven't looked at a single player at K-State
I have
recruiting.
no clue.
So,
I can't go that low on the rankings.
right. But yeah, no, we were chit-chatting it up, and then my cousin, he's like, yeah, dude, whenever I'm doing the dishes, sometimes I'll see y'all's recommended videos pop up, and I just turn it on, and he's not even like a college sports fan. He just listens because he just enjoys the show. So we might be doing something right, Jake. But anyway, big shout out to the family. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the listeners out there supporting the show as well. We're not done. This isn't it, but the sports season is over, and we're heading into summer.
Yeah. And yeah, I just echo everything you say. It was a lot of fun. We talked about doing something like this for a long time. Rogue came in, gave us kind of an opportunity to kind of launch it, have some nice graphics, have things that make it easier to start out. And it's been fun to run with it. And I'm excited to continue to grow because I feel like this football season is going to be a big one, not only for the Texas Longhorns on the field, but for all Longhorns in the podcast field.
Sponsors, we're open. We're open. We're ready for some sponsors. We'll do some live
Any of them.
reads. Yep. And if you want to support your Longhorns, this will be the channel to support it on. So let us know. Reach out to us, and we'll get you taken care of. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Again, your softball national champions for the first time in program history. End it on the highest of notes you could possibly end it on. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We will see y'all when we see you next. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, from your national champion softball team, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.